Great.
20,000.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
It's a very hard
Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Oakham Town Council meeting. It's Wednesday, the 25th of March. It's now 1 minute past 7, and the meeting can commence. Can I just ask if everybody around the table has signed the register, made any declarations in the book as needed?
Yeah.
Okay. And welcome to our members of the public who are here this evening. It's nice to see you all.
Madam Chairman, can I just make a comment, please, before we start?
You may.
First of all, may I have permission to leave if required to serve the community?
Absolutely.
And secondly, for the purpose of health and safety this evening, the fire exit to the rear of the building has been locked due to a maintenance issue. So as a fire warden, if there is a fire alarm, we will all leave via the front entrance. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we'll make a start then. Apologies this evening. I've only got one apology, and that's from Councillor Alan Walters, who is unfortunately not able to be here through work commitments. Can I have a proposer from John and seconded from Stan? Okay. Very much, it's just the one, so that's it. Okay, sorry, all those in favour. I always forget that. Okay. Right. Declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare, if required, any disclosable pecuniary interest they have in respect of 2 items on the agenda, and any interest they may have in respect of items on the agenda. Can I ask for...
I will declare an interest, Madam Chairman, on item number 10, as it relates closely to the fire service.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Can I just make a statement on the declaration then?
You can.
On item number 11, I just want to make it absolutely plain to everybody in this room that I haven't got anything to do with the Rutland Concert Band Proms in the Park grant. I was heavily involved last year. This year I am not, so I should stay in the room and vote. Thank you. I just want to make it plain. Thank you.
That's fine, that makes it very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just go on to the minutes from the last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read them? And has anybody got any comments that they wish to make in relation to them? Just you?
Yes, on the minute 2115, after the question from Councillor Walters, I asked a question which has not been included, which has been omitted from the minutes. And I asked Councillor Walters why he decided to ask a question in public rather than informally speak to the chairman. And Councillor Walters replied, it was his method. It's the method he selected. Which I think should be in the minutes.
It was what?
The method he selected.
And you wish that to be
I'd like
an
to be
alteration
minutes.
added to the
Minutes,
minutes accordingly? Can you
Yeah.
do that? Are you clear about what needs to go in?
Does that need to be
Okay.
agreed?
Yeah.
We'll do that.
We need to vote on that.
Okay. Right. Can I have a voting on that then, since it...
I can recall that was an accurate record of what happened.
Okay.
I would propose that.
Okay, the second? That's all from John. And all those in favour of that alteration? Okay, that's the first time I've had an alteration since we've been here. So, any against?
Two abstentions.
Any abstentions? So, I don't sign them then. I still sign them.
Yeah.
And then change them and then I'll sign them again. I thought I'd perhaps wait until then. To be amended, yes. Okay, so that brings us to item 4, councillors' questions. I understand, Joyce, you have a question you'd like to put this evening?
Yes. I just want it minuted because I think I probably know the answer. But can someone explain why the summons for this meeting is signed by the clerk to the council when the assistant clerk has done all the work? If this is a legal requirement, if this is a legal requirement, can it not be amended for future use? Thank you. Joyce Lucas, North West Ward Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want the copy?
I think, we've looked through the regulations in relation to that, and the summons does have to come from the employed proper officer to the council, who, whether somebody's off sick or not, remains as Richard Warren's currently. That doesn't mean that we can't obviously minute them regularly, that we thank Alison for all her hard work and recognise that in other ways. But legally we have to be summoned by the proper officer, who is the trained clerk. Okay? Has anybody else got any questions related to that? Reports. I've done a quick resume of the events that I've attended in the last month. I'll just run through them very quickly. 27th of February, I went to the Gooders New charity sale up at Barnsdale Lodge. I went as mayor to that, as it is my chosen charity that they're supporting, which is for Rutland in Rutland. Did very well, apparently, made quite a lot of money, so that was good for the charity. 28th of February, I went to 2 events that were relating to the fair trade, local fair trade. There was a big coffee morning at the Methodist Church, and then there was a demonstration of the water pumps that are being collected for, that was outside All Saints Church. 6th of March, I went to the Mountain Mowbray Civic Dinner. 8th of March, the celebration of Rutland, which was at Peterborough Cathedral. Which was a lovely service. I think 1 or 2 of you were there. It was an enjoyable afternoon. 12th of March, I opened the Healthy Hearing Centre, which is on Jail Street. Can you hear? Can you hear that? The 14th of March, we held an open day for prospective town councillors here in the chamber. We didn't have a lot of people come, but there was a good turnout from councillors, and thank you all for attending on that day, much appreciated. And on the 19th of March, we went on a town council visit to Rutland Plastics. We were made very welcome, and I do intend to, well, I've already put a letter together to send to them. I've just been pointed out because I'm a bit out of order here. That on the 18th of March we attended the air ambulance dinner at Barnsdale Lodge, which was had a guest speaker of Simon Weston. So it's a really interesting and enjoyable day. You attended that too. So well done for reminding me. Okay. Members' reports. I believe again, Joyce, you have something you wish to?
Yes. Adam Lowe and I attended the Rutland service. It was observed, I think I would say, that everything was centred on prayers to people who were paid. There was nothing at all said about the volunteers of this county, and I've made it quite plain to the organisers. North West Ward councillors, Alan Malthus and myself, had a ward walk. For those interested, the observations were the garages in Westfield Avenue, the roofs have been removed and the doors have been removed, and the building is still intact. It looks even worse now, but I think it was the asbestos. I just hope that that doesn't happen to the garages on Princess Avenue, which RCC are looking at. The brook was quite a mess. Polythene bags, and it was a real mess. I'll come to that in a minute. I did, together with Adam, at the open day, went to the Wellbeing road show, gave an account of the closure of the midwifery unit, as I would, and the operating theatre at Little Memorial Hospital. I attended with the Mayor and Councillor Guthrie. Did anybody else go? Yeah, did you go? Alf, yes you did. Went to the Rutland Plastics thing. I attended together with Councillor Blanksby and Walters the surgery. We were kept very busy. I think you would agree, between 11 and 1. Subjects that came up was the local National Health Service issues, litter and noise from some of the licensed premises in town, and sewerage in Kilburn Road. You agree with that, don't you? 24th of March, relating back to the ward walk, I walked the full length of the brook with the Environment Officer, and she's going to look into what she can do as far as trying to clear it up and clear all the mess out. She doesn't think it belongs to RCC. One observation I was going to bring up at planning, actually, is that we have some brambles and stuff on our side of the brook, and I think they all ought to be taken out because it's riparian ownership. So I'll be looking into that. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Is there a flooding risk with that, Dorothy?
Sorry.
Just with the brook, is there a risk, any risks associated with that?
No, they're going to clear that dam that the children have made, and there's quite a bit of, and the mattress and the bike, they're going to clear all that, but they're going to wait for the banks to be decided who they belong to. Spire homes, riparian ownership of the houses, and all that sort of thing. But I think we ought to be just one step ahead and get our side cleared.
Clerk's report. In the absence of the clerk, there is no report, nothing specific that we need to keep back to the
toddler's play area equipment, that was finished today.
in Brooks Close.
Close.
Okay, that brings us to deputations by the public. I understand Mr Brooks has some deputations to make. Can I ask if any of the members of the public wish to speak this evening? No? Okay.
I've got it.
Mr Brooks, do you want to, I understand you want to make deputations on
Yeah, that, I added the minutes, but that's slightly changed. I've got it written down, but can I ask a question first? Because it's been highlighted that the unlawful application from Oakham in Bloom put in by Councillor Blanksby has been withdrawn this evening, so it would be pointless for me to give a deputation on that if that's the case. So can you confirm if that's the situation, please?
I wouldn't describe it as illegal, but
Well, it is, because your rules say that no grant should come from councillors.
Okay, well, it's...
So that it breaks the law.
Okay, I'm not going to get into an argument about that, but yes, it has been withdrawn.
Thank you very much.
Will be resubmitted by another member of Oakham in Bloom at the next council.
But your rules say that no organisation connected to that councillor, we can refer, well, I can go straight on to that, because we can refer to Mr Noel and his wife with their grant back last time round, and that is why, no, that is grants. I'm on to grants now.
Yeah,
and this is the problem.
Grants do not include anything from Councillor Noel's family. So
no, but that is the reason why you looked at the rules, and I'm making it very clear to you that any grant that comes, application that comes from Oakham in Bloom is unlawful. It's unfortunate that Mr Blanksby has been co-opted by you, because Oakham in Bloom do a good job.
Okay, you have made your point. Can you move on now to...
Excuse me, I haven't finished my deputation. I'm on Grant's deputation, and you've just interrupted me.
You just said you were not talking about that.
No, because I said that I
But you're
will be
not talking about
I will be changing what is written and I'm doing that.
So you can make comment about the applications that are in, not about...
No, it's grants. The agenda item is titled grants, so I'm making a deputation on grants,
Can we
please.
get on with it then, please?
Yes, man, I do like your attitude, Mayor. Get on with it. You know, like you lock us out there until a minute before the meeting. It's a disgrace. But anyway, you've put me off, so I'd like to try and get my breath back. The grant has obviously been withdrawn, but I'm highlighting that they can't unfortunately put in a grant. It's very clear in the law that no councillor can put a grant before this council or anybody connected to them or an organisation. So I should finish on Oakham and Bloom and move on to the grant from the Rutland concert band. I've spoken to the applicant because there were various things on the application which she says she didn't mind this time, but you've publicly distributed the band's accounts. You published her personal home address, but anyway, that's just how you operate. It's unsatisfactory. £500 for members can go away. Obviously, you're going to decide tonight who weren't at the concert. The bands weren't that good. You know, and £500 of public money just to make a few little bangers, to me in the present climate, is really, really extravagant. And if the council does go towards paying this money, I find it quite shocking that you're willing to burn £500. Yes, for charity. Would it not be better to just write a cheque out to the air ambulance? Anyway, if I get my breath, I now move on to the fire station, item number 10. I'm not against the fire station. In fact, I've signed petitions. If anyone followed my blog this week, I brought out a photograph in 2009 where the fire service were asking for support. This council has not shown an inch of support to the fire service over the years. Why, now you've co-opted the station manager, and no disrespect to him, have you decided to make this an agenda item?
Can I just clear it up?
No, right, you can say later. But you know, it stinks basically of the Tesco's thing when a mayor told me I only came on the council because Tesco's wanted a building in my back garden. Sorry, Mr. Stubbs. Are you the chairman now at this meeting? But anyway, I'm just... and also, you seem to be acting as the horse is bolted. You haven't consulted the residents of Oakham, and a suggestion is that you write supporting. Well, you're not writing on my behalf, and certainly other people I've spoken to. You know, the fire service has very poorly consulted the people. You've done the same, and it's almost like you're doing this as a last-minute thing, because I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but the fire service have made their mind up, and they're having a meeting, I think, next week, so you better get the letter in quick if you're going to do it. And then I move on to the last thing, which is the schedule of payments. How much longer is this council going to pay the clerk full pay? Rude man. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's not just me. There are important members of this community who are objecting to over £2,000 being paid for nothing in return. And I say it publicly, the man is downright rude. And also then I would like to point out, why is the mayor spending money on civic dinners? Why does she not take a leaf out of the chairman of Rutland County Council's book and not use public money for jollies? Because that's what they are. For over a year, the chairman at Rutland County Council has refused to pay for civic duties with taxpayers' money, and that's what you're doing. Going to these events, you are spending taxpayers' money, and that's not what is paid for. And lastly, I'm sorry I've got in the mood, but it's the way you started it off. Lastly, there's lots of stationery. This council spends 45% of its preset on administrating this council. This evening, this is quite typical, there are over 400 sheets of paper which are going to end up in the dustbin tonight. Why do Oakham Town Council still think that they don't need to comply with the Localism Act? It would be far much easier. We have little parishes like Exton who put their appendix online because that's the law. You constantly refuse not to comply with the law and waste our money. This is single-sided, printed on heavy-duty 80-gram coloured paper, and it's a disgrace.
Okay,
Thank you.
for your comments. I have allowed you extra time.
Thank you very much. I did rush, as you could tell, but thank you anyway.
You really had lots to say, which was very interesting. Thank you. Okay. We move on. Okay, we now come to item 8, which is in relation to the freedom of entry, which Adam has
Thank you.
prepared a paper on, I'm sure.
It's reasonably straightforward. The council has previously agreed in principle to grant freedom of entry. The preparations are moving ahead. All this document is to formally grant the freedom of entry. So that's why if you read the whole of the document and look specifically at 4, the proposal for recommendation is that now we, as a council, with 2/3 majority, grant the freedom of entry, so then we will just conclude the preparations. I've not put anything in there about the budget, because the budget had already been agreed, and we are not going to exceed the budget. And that's really all I have to say, thank you. So yeah, if the council's got any questions, and I'll happily answer them if I can. If not, then there'll be a proposal that we grant freedom of entry. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Have we got any questions for Adam around about the freedom of entry?
Lovely.
No?
I suppose we go
So
ahead.
can we propose? Yeah. Okay, we have one
I'll second
proposal for acceptance, seconded by Vince. All those in favour?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you,
Just
Councillor.
wanted to say thank Adam for the work he's doing on this.
Yes, you can. Would you like that minuted?
Yes, please.
Just do that, please. Okay. Okay, that brings us on to the fitness centre. Councillor Walters has obviously put a paper together here for us in relation to the work that's been done to date. I would just like to point out that on the introduction it does say that we've previously resolved to relocate. This is not strictly true. Actually, what we've resolved to do was to do a feasibility about whether it was possible for us financially to make that move to Princess Avenue. So I think it's just the way it's been written, but that's just so that you're aware that that is not strictly correct. There is quite a lot of information here. Fundamentally, you need to decide where we want to go now, whether we want to go forward with the recommendations around getting more information in terms of the move. What are people's thoughts on... Have everybody had a chance to read the paper? Yeah, okay. So I'd like to welcome some thoughts and comments about... I mean, from my point of view, I think at this point, although this is quite an interesting paper and it's got lots of information in it, I think we may be a little bit ahead of ourselves in that, although yes, it is important to consider the design options, I think the design options have probably come secondary to whether we feel that the cost of moving is an option or not. That's my personal view.
Chairman, would it be fair to say that I think a straw poll may be a way to govern the guide us on the public opinion? Whether it's standing outside on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, I'm more than happy to take part in it and ask the people of the town their opinion what they know about the town council, the location of the current town council, and whether a move to the old fitness centre would be an appropriate move and supported by them.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair comment. That's sort of an additional option
I
to
know.
consider.
Yeah.
So it's not something we're necessarily voting on at this point. I mean, what we're looking at is to whether we want to make comments to assist the design and quotation, which I think is a bit ahead. 1 second. To think about timescales, we are entering into a period of hurdle and we can't really make huge decisions about financial commitments. That would need to be passed on to the next full council, which is obviously only in 6 weeks or so. Sorry, David, you wanted to speak.
Yeah, the main thing that Alan's trying to put forward is that by taking this new option of only using half of the building and doing as least work as possible, and then shutting the other side of the building off so that we can apply for grants for that side of the building. So it wouldn't cost the council very much to actually, make it a feasible option.
Okay.
You're talking probably, 10,000–12,000, something like that.
Joyce,
Oh,
sorry.
No,
Joyce, do you
Karen,
want
Karen.
to go there?
I'm sorry to have to keep doing this, but I can blast myself out if I do. The only comments, I have 2 comments to make. This cropped up 10 years ago. We didn't grasp the nettle then. If we had have done, we would have now saved an awful lot of money. So we've just got to be careful what we're doing. I have spoken to a lot of people. They're not all in my ward, but they all want to save money for this town council, which seems to be the option that most people want. Having said that, I just think that it just carries on until we get some sort of final solution. But in the meantime, we must secure that building against vandalism. And I don't know quite how we do that. But it's pretty obvious to me that it's empty because all the paperwork is pushed through the letterbox and it's piling up there like nobody's business. So I think we really ought to consider doing something to secure the building, if you see what I mean. I don't know what, Chairman, I've no idea what.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that you raised the point about that the council's not made a decision yet, because I feel the whole essence running through this is that we've already made a decision and we're getting certain options put to us at a little early stage, which we shouldn't be having. One of the main things that we have this report is to decide on what security action to take.
Yes.
But there's nothing in the report recommending what we should do or any costs related to that. And I think what we should be doing really is looking at what those security costs are before we start looking at the options, which are based on options 1 and 2. These are a little further down the line. There's still a long way to go there,
Yes.
because we still need to get some quotes from builders on what we need to do.
Yeah.
Also, there's something in there about councillors wishing to visit. I would like to visit. Again, I must admit I would like to see how things are going to pan out. But obviously the first thing is to get the place secure. And unfortunately now we've got to go back to finding out what security we require and get some costings for it before this council can then agree it and go ahead.
Yes.
So it's a delay really, which is unfortunate. I thought we should have had that at this stage.
Yeah, I obviously favour the need for making the place secure. I mean, that's fairly obvious, I think. I wasn't at the meeting. I understood from the minutes that we had agreed in principle that was the favoured site, but it's obviously subject to whatever it costs. We formed a working group I found this very interesting, and whilst initially I feel that a central location was better, I thought this did provide a framework in which there was a working council chamber, there were offices, there were toilets, facilities, a kitchen, and facilities for community use. So it seems to me the working group have done what they were asked to do. They've produced a viable design, and rather than take Adam's presumably informed, the top of his head, estimate as to what it cost, and no one's refined that, whatever decisions come to, it seems to me it wouldn't cost anything to now get some sort of estimates as to what that would cost, and that would be part of the future decision-making process.
You can,
My informed quote, in actual fact, was I asked a builder, I've not done it, a builder from not from Oakham, from Melton Mowbray. I asked them if they'd mind doing a quote because it wouldn't cost us anything. They went in and examined it and they assessed it. It would mean putting in offices and all the work that would need to be done, upgrading electrics, the whole shooting match basically, and even putting in gas central heating. And so that price that came through, which was indicated to the council, was by a builder. He even went back another time with a qualified electrician because he wasn't happy with the electrics in there. But one of the things that came back from David and from Alan was that we could do part of the work and then another part, in actual fact spread the costs over a number of years. So I agree with what Alfred said, that we need to do more work, we can't go rushing forward. They only said whatever we decide after this evening, there's a couple of things we need to consider before we can do anything as well, is do we know what the tenants are doing? Have they actually, I know they've left, but are they still paying? So that if they're still paying, they're still responsible, we can't do anything. We still know that we can't move out of here because we're subject to here for 12 months, or whatever the notice period is. But the most prevalent item in my mind is that the building at the moment, I believe, if the electricity has been or is going to be cut off, there's a defibrillator on the outside wall that may fall into neglect because of that. So whatever we do, we need to make sure there's electricity supply maintained in the building as well. So, but that's it, thank you.
Adam, I did have a breakdown of the quote so we can get a better idea of, you know, what to do and what not to do. And one of the biggest items was the heating, which we could get around that with this plan by just electric heating that side of it till we develop all of it.
I would like to clarify, and I wasn't calling into question Adam's competence in obtaining an appropriate estimate. However, he did say in the paper, or it says in the paper, that there were some things that were included in that, like the insulation and so on, which aren't necessary, and therefore there's clearly a need for revised quotation.
Yes.
It seems to me that what we need is a clearer breakdown of what the cost options are between the going in and using half the building to doing the full building. We can't make a clear and informed decision until we've got that. However, in the meantime, I think it is important that we address the security issue. The current tenants did have a 5-year contract with a 3-year opt-out clause, which takes them to June. So they are actually liable, or are tenants until that date. Now, they have moved out, and we are invoicing them for outstanding rent. So once we've received some more advice around that element of things, then obviously I'll feed back to you. But we do need to look at security and has anybody got any ideas on how we would do that, or any options?
Well, the thing is, when we're talking about security, people instantly, I would say that the majority of people in the room thought security, we're going to have to board up the place, so we can't break in. But it's not about that, it's a case of probably we need to be clearing the mail away, because in the absence of the current tenant, we as the owners of that property, we need to take ownership of it. We don't want to get the same ridicule that has gone off with Floor's house for having unkept look. It's an empty building, and I think from a security point of view it needs to have regularly lit by either councillors that are prepared to do it on behalf of the council, or officers not, but on saying that, our assistant clerk has already got quite a lot on the plate. So I would say that if the council's prepared to do it, that they keep an eye on the place. It's about, you know, most of us go there. Joyce, as we know, does lots of ward walks and is well in touch with her ward. Other councillors live up that neck of the woods in the Beirut part of the town. So to me, I think as a council we can take ownership of that. And all decisions on what happens next as to whether we do take it in principle to the next stage has to be made by the new council.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to say that we can't defer this item, anyone that will carry out these actions, defer the item and give the current subgroup an opportunity to get more detailed quotations with a view to looking at, let's cut up this elephant into more manageable sizes.
We do have to have all of our information together and all decisions made. The latest point at which we can give notice to the Victoria Hall, should we decide to do that, is the last day of September.
Yeah. Can I follow on from Adam, really? How legal is it for us as a council law to unlock that door and clear out that mail when it isn't our building yet? If you see what I mean, if they're still paying rent.
We do have a right of access.
Have we? I don't know. I don't want to trespass.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my problem. I don't mind taking on that role, but I'm not going to trespass.
No. We do have right of access. I mean, obviously there is personal safety, and you may not feel comfortable going into that building on your own, in which case you may wish to ask somebody to go with you, or
yes,
I would be happy to think that you go down there on your own because you never know.
No, I just don't want squatters in.
Here's another point. Are the company that's vacated it, are they still liable for paying the insurance, and have they still got insurance on it, or should we make sure it's insured?
That's a very good question to which I do not have the answer. I am, as I say, looking into the rent arrears issue at the moment, and I'll add that to the considerations that we need to have. I think at the moment there's probably very little else we can decide here this evening. I think in terms of what building proposals or what financial commitment we're going to give is really going to come with the new council. And the subcommittee, as we've agreed, as has been mentioned, probably need to come up with a bit more of an option appraisal in terms of the costs. So can we have a proposal then to defer a decision about how we go forward with Princess Avenue, which would probably be into May, would be sort of end of May, beginning of June really, I would think, the next council meeting for that decision to come forward.
Could we make a decision to go forward and get quotes on a breakdown of the
continue the work.
Yeah, but that's
we
that's
could keep
what.
doing it
Yeah.
and get the quotes on it so that we're all ready to
Yeah.
move on the way we want to.
I mean, that's already agreed and on the table in terms of the subcommittee to go ahead and get all the quotes. But I think we need something a little bit more concrete to work with, so we know exactly what we're dealing with financially as a half building or full building. So if we can propose to move on defer this until after the new council starts for those decisions to be made, but we do need to make a decision about, we do need to think about from a security point of view and how we manage that.
Just ask that.
Yeah.
What's your estimate on how much the securing the building would cost?
Ballpark figure. I mean, it depends really, because at the moment the building's pretty secure because it's got steel fire doors on it. So you don't need to worry about blocking up windows. It's only a case of whether anybody decides to put a brick through them, which hopefully they wouldn't. And the front door is a new front door. So from that point of view, the physical, practical security of an empty building is actually quite good. From the point of view of people going in and keeping regular checks on it, if the councillors do it, it's pretty much zero. If you're going to choose to put an alarm in there, you can buy cheap alarms and put them in. But I think you need to wait and see if we have an incident with it before you go to that point. I think regular visits, and the main thing is if the previous tenant or the current tenant are not going to go back to the building again, we get the green light from them that we retrieve their mail and pass it on to them. We have right to access. So I think it would be minimal, less than £5,000, isn't it? It's just literally keeping an eye on it and housekeeping, making sure there's no leaking pipes, that sort of thing.
So we just need to arrange a regular visit from one
Yeah.
of us really
Yeah.
to check it, or two of us at a time. And yes, 1 second.
Yeah.
I think it's probably worth just letting the local community support officers,
Yeah.
just making them aware that it is now empty. I mean, they do hopefully walk around that park on occasions. They could just check it out for us. Just make them aware.
On the security thing, Jane, we did have all our properties revalued, didn't we? And there was a change in our insurance. I'm almost certain that we must have it insured. However, I think we ought to inform the insurers that it's now.
Yeah, I think that is actually on the policy that we have to inform them if the property's empty. So we'll look into all those details and we'll chase that up. Yeah.
If I just inform them,
Okay.
yeah.
So can I have a proposal about deferring the decision about using moving to Princess Avenue?
No, I don't agree with the deferring. The proposal I would make is something that the working party continue with their work and you're better at this than me. No decision, final decision will be made until whenever, June. What did you say, June? Did you say
I
June?
think early
But
to...
to actually defer it, what we need to do is the working party still to be doing their bit towards trying to get a final decision, yay or nay.
Yeah, I mean you can include that in the proposal.
That's
just to ensure that the work continues.
Somebody put a proposal together on those lines that it's not deferred, but that we shall continue to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, on the assumption that the quote wouldn't cost us anything anyway, why don't we charge the working party with obtaining a quote for their preferred option for the use of the building?
Something like that.
So on the back of that, that means that the proposal is that there is no decision to be made on Alan's report, and that the working party continue with looking in more detail on converting the building for council use and bring it back to the new council in May or June.
Yes.
With a quote.
With a quote.
With a quote.
With a proper quote.
Yeah.
And the only other thing is that the council take on the ownership or the responsibility of just checking it, clearing the mail.
Yes. That's
And
exactly
in the
what
meantime, Alison and I will look into ensure that the insurance is appropriate and that the post is removed.
Yeah.
Is that a proposal?
Okay,
That was
so
a
that's
proposal.
proposal on the table from...
That was easy, wasn't it?
I'll second that.
from Adam that a quote is brought back to the table in early June, basically.
And I'd just like to come back and say thanks, Alan, for not doing it.
Proposed, I know, it's all got to be complicated, doesn't it? Proposed by Adam, second by John. All those in favour of that proposal? Okay, unanimous. Thank you very much. I'm sure there's going to be many, many discussions on that issue in the coming months. Okay, which brings us to the Oakham Fire Service, which is a paper that's been submitted by Stan, discussing the future options around the fire service. Do you want to give an overview of it, Stan, and then we can...
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Basically, it's to do with proposed cuts to the Oakham Fire Station. Hopefully you've all read this paper. But I'll run through it. I think it's the best idea. Following attending public consultation on the proposals in the Integrated Risk Management Plan 2015-2020, The report summarises the main findings from the public consultation which were presented to the members of the Combined Fire Authority on 11th of February 2015 for their consideration. For reference proposes the draft IRMP consultation document and the district profiles. The chairman's profile, this information was taken from the Leicestershire Fire and Rescue website. We are proposing to remove the fire engine crewed by the on-call staff from the Oakham Fire and Rescue Station. This would mean a reduction of 12 on-call posts. Our analysis shows that Rutland is a relatively low-risk area in terms of the number of incidents, and that we remove the on-call fire engine from Oakham. Adequate emergency cover is available from 24/7 whole-time fire engine at Oakham, with the second fire engine coming from nearby fire stations, rescue fire stations. Removing the on-call fire would save almost £100,000. On the 11th of February, a decision was not reached on the proposed cuts to the Oakham fire station. So basically, we've got until the 8th of April to make this decision. Now, before sort of going into the decisions required, I've been made aware of an incident, and I think it's important to bear this very much in mind, where the first fire tender had gone out to an incident when the second incident occurred at Cottesmore. The fire tender went out there. Had it not have turned up within like a 10-minute call, the whole house of cottage, I think it was, would have burnt down. Instead, the fire was put out and the property was saved. Had there only been one fire tender, it is quite obvious that that whole building would have burned down. So the decisions required, one is to formulate a letter opposing the cuts, to formulate a letter supporting the cuts, to await further decision, and four, for Oakham Town Council to take no action. I mean, that is the decisions required that I feel that the council need to make tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any comments or thoughts in relation to the potential cuts to the fire service in Oakham?
Yeah, I can see the need for cuts generally, nationally. I can accept that there's been an audit as to where the most appropriate places to make those cuts were, and they're minded to do some sort of thing. Our responsibility as a town council is to the people of Oakham, and therefore, since any reduction in the fire service would constitute an enhanced risk and less money coming into the locality because there'll be less employment, I think we have a duty to oppose this, at least verbally.
Thank you.
Yes, I was at the meeting about the fire station, and the Oakham County Council suggested a figure of, I think it was 70,000, something, by memory, 70,000. There's not been any decision made on that as yet, and really we don't know one way or the other whether the fire brigade is going to actually accept the funding, because it only makes 30,000 difference, and that's for 2 years. They're going to fund it for 70,000 for 2 years, 70,000, and that makes a big difference. I mean, 100,000 saving and 30,000 saving, it's hardly worth, for 30,000, it's hardly worth talking about it.
I don't quite understand that.
No, I
Yeah.
don't.
That's good. I was trying to work that
The
out.
Rutland County Council have offered 70,000 funding. Is it 75? 75,000 funding for 2 years.
Of this 100,000.
Yes, 75,000 and 100,000 would only make 25,000 difference. And why hasn't the fire brigade already accepted that?
Any other thoughts?
May I be prepared to pass a professional comment? Just to, put the information there. Or shall I? Just,
I wouldn't say anything,
Okay, yeah.
especially when it's been
I
told.
believe you're allowed
That's the trouble.
to just make a comment, but it has to be non-judgmental
Okay.
and
Discussion.
not to influence the vote in any way.
just to
You can do
clarify,
that.
just to clarify on the funding for Oakham's on-call is based at 100,000. Rutland County Council offered, after the meeting on the 11th when a decision wasn't made, funding of £75,000 for the next 2 years.
Per year.
Per £75,000 per year. Oh no, sorry, £70,000 per year, providing the fire service look into shared accommodation, corresponding, and various other caveats that I've laid down. Now, because it was deferred on the 11th of February, it's now being re-voted for by the members of the CFA to either continue with the cuts, to accept Rutland County Council's offer and go down the line of corresponding and their sort of recommendation and requirements, or they'll just carry on what they're doing. Okay, so I think that's unbiased.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
Anybody got anything to say?
Can I just ask, Stan, how many other parishes, apart from Oakham Parish, have had this same request? Have Uppingham been asked to send a letter of support, or even Cottesmore, because they parish council? I don't know why it's just centred on Oakham. I'm sorry, it's a parish council, and I'm not too sure where it all fits in, really.
I'm not sure if we have that information.
I haven't got any information, but I think it's important to mention Oakham is the capital of Rutland, and I think we're talking, to a certain extent, I accept the comments made about the finance, which hasn't been finalised, but we've got a safety issue here, which I think is more important, and I think that whether other councils, parish councils, are doing anything to support it or not is up to them. I think we as a council have to decide whether we should support it, and I personally think that we should go down the lines of stating that we don't want our second tender moved from our fire station. That incident alone at Cottesmore has proved the need for it. Now, if anybody here owned that property, knows that it was saved, and they knew the option had there not been a second fire tender, I wonder what would have happened, what we would have decided then. I think that's a very, very important point.
I think fundamentally the decision is whether we as a council wish to submit a letter supporting or not supporting the cuts to the fire brigade within Oakham. Can I ask if there's a proposal one way or the other for that? Somebody's phone ringing somewhere?
I propose we formulate a letter opposing the cuts.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so we have that proposal on the table. Can I just give Anybody who's in favour of that? I'm quite happy to put a letter forward. Against formulating a letter? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Two
So
against.
is it or to wait a further decision, you see?
I think the problem might be that if you wait for the decision, it might be too late because the decision is then
Decision will be made on.
The decision's is going to be made, we've got to put this on before the 8th of April.
Okay, so that the motion is carried to put a letter together. It would just be a simple letter saying that as a council, we do not support the proposed cuts in service to
And withdrawal of the second tender.
yeah, that's part and parcel of it, isn't it? Yeah. We'll do that, we'll put that together tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Obviously the Oakham in Bloom application has been withdrawn and returned to the council on another date. So the only outstanding application is now for the Rutland Concert Band for an event during the summer months. We have changed our grant system slightly, of course, so there is no set date for having to put grants in now. People can apply throughout the year up until the £8,000 fund has expired. So we just need to keep a close eye on what figures we make. Anybody wish to make any comments about the applications? Any concerns or any concerns about what the money is to be spent on?
I'm not for the concerns. I would say, having seen what Anne, Music and more importantly, her team of people put together last year, it's irrelevant really whether Councillor Lucas was involved with it last year, and I know she's not involved with it this year. The important thing is that this organisation that Anne, all she does is head it up and represents. She's one of the few people in Oakham, and there's not many of them, who actually goes out of the way to provide some kind of community event. And Oakham Town Council have already made a pledge to support that kind of ideal. In the absence of different things that have gone by the wayside, we do our band concerts. This was a huge success last year in many regards, and I think the council would be doing a disservice to the townspeople if we didn't sort of support it, because it's public money that's being used for a public event for the people of Oakham. And I would applaud and hope that the council accept this. If nobody else has any comments to object to it, my proposal would be that we accept the grant.
And I second it.
I would absolutely support that. I think it was an excellent event last year, and in fact a considerable amount of money was raised for charity on that evening as well, I believe. So it was a win-win situation. Joyce?
The reason why it's come so early is if they're not going to get the grant, we won't be doing it. And then whether they've played the 1812 overture 1,000 times since then, they need to still practice. Well, what's the point in practicing if they can't get pyrotechnics to do it? So please, I go along with the proposal.
Yeah, I support it as well. Just practically, this doesn't feel to me like the sort of thing that should come out of the 8,000 grand. It seems to me more like the sort of thing that should come out of the 6,000 promotion budget. But I think that's possibly just an accounting issue.
I think the promotion group's funding has been reduced by the promotion group quite considerably in terms of managing it.
Yeah, I would say that Rob is probably hitting the nail on the head there, but it is a promotion product, but it's not an Oakham Town Council promotion. The promotions budget is set up for the Oakham Town Council humans to do their promotions. This is an outside body that's come to us. Maybe in the future we can look at this and think, when Abstract Music and more do put band concerts on, and maybe it should be built into that. But this is a specific additional event. So, yes, good idea, Rob, but we've already budgeted. We've been trying to save money on promotions budget. We've reduced money on our grants budget down to 8 again, and we've got the money. So my proposal still stands, but thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to make comments regarding that? Okay, so we've got a proposal for awarding the £580, which is what has been applied for.
John seconded.
John seconded that. Anybody in favour? Okay, so unanimous. Get those round to them very rapidly. Okay, internal audit. Consider the report from the internal auditor and to make any decisions as appropriate. It's not really decision making, it's just that people have noted it and are happy that everything is currently been found to be in order and we've provided all the appropriate information to the audit. Can I have a proposal for acceptance? Yeah, do we need to proposal? Yeah. Okay. Schedule of payments. Somebody had a chance to have a look through the schedules of payments, identify any issues they wish to raise?
No, perhaps you might think I'm paranoid, but I'm not. It's a typo error, 310. It's bunting and not tree work. It's just the bunting. Whatever it was, £98. Okay, it's
Probably put in the tree work section, has it?
it's just a forgivable typo, really. Thank you.
Well spotted, Joyce.
Well, I've been through it with a fine-tooth comb because I'm paranoid.
Any other concerns or congratulations to Alison for managing to put all this together on your own? Well, I know Rob's been assisted, apart from typing it well, but I didn't spot anything. Anybody else? No? Do we have a proposal for acceptance of okay, sorry, did you not speak? No, you're proposing. Stan's proposing, seconded by John. All those in favour? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Alison.
Yeah, thank you for all your hard work. And that brings us to this final statement of accounts. Again, has everybody had a chance to have a look? Identify any anomalies or things they wish to ask questions about?
I propose just say something. I am charged with checking the bank reconciliation quarterly, just to say that I have done that, and it's completely in order.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got that minuting.
Yeah.
Minute that you... Okay, so can we have a proposal for acceptance of the statement of accounts? John, seconded by Stan. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of tonight's meeting. It is 8:04, and sorry. Yep, okay. Just so that people are aware, we have made some alterations to meeting dates. Everybody's got a copy of this. We'll give a copy to the members of the public if they wish.
Have we finished?
The meeting is finished. I think. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, it's okay, sorry. Just the stuff.
It's just that I don't know that Alison's had